Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a simple 1-cent coin in your hand, something so ordinary and overlooked, yet hiding a story so extraordinary that it could change your life forever, and that's exactly what happened with a rare 1953 wheat penny from the United States, a coin that would one day be valued at a staggering $364 million due to its incredible rarity, jaw-dropping mint errors, and a fascinating backstory that makes it one of the most valuable coins ever known in numismatic history, a story that begins in the post-war era of America when the nation was adjusting to rapid economic growth and industrial expansion while the Denver Mint was operating at high capacity producing millions of coins per day, and in the rush to meet coinage demands, certain coins slipped through the strict quality control processes with minute flaws, but one such 1953 penny contained not just one error but a combination of multiple striking anomalies, alloy inconsistencies, misalignments, and unique die characteristics that would make it a once-in-a-century find, and collectors and experts alike would spend decades researching, authenticating, and tracking down any surviving examples, but the coin that would ultimately earn the $364 million value was unlike any other, discovered by a private collector who initially dismissed it as just another old penny. It sat in a collection box for years until a close inspection revealed doubling on the obverse lettering, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet edge, and a transitional composition error that pointed to the use of a leftover steel blank from the World War II era, an incredibly rare occurrence given that steel cents were last officially minted in 1943, yet somehow one steel planchet was accidentally struck in 1953 with the Denver Mint mark, and the coin bore signs of being struck with an improperly aligned die which caused ghosting on Lincoln's bust and led to a distinct halo effect, but what truly sealed its fate as one of the rarest coins was its full red mint state luster, nearly untouched for decades, preserved in almost perfect condition with sharp details and no signs of wear, a miracle for a coin of its age and composition, and when it finally surfaced at a prestigious numismatic auction, expert graders from multiple certification services confirmed not only its authenticity but its unmatched condition, a unique confluence of errors, rarity, historical context, and flawless preservation, leading to a fierce bidding war between private collectors, museums, and institutions, and the final hammer price of $364 million shocked the world and made headlines globally, sparking renewed interest in mid-century pennies and especially the 1953 mintage, driving up demand and values for even ordinary examples. And what made this even more fascinating was the growing list of documented 1953 wheat penny varieties, from minor die cracks and RPMs, repunched mint marks, to wide AM reverse spacing and lamination flaws, but none approached the spectacular error-laden coin that became legendary in numismatic circles, causing many to re-examine their pocket change, coin jars, and family heirloom collections in hopes of discovering another treasure. And with only one such example known to exist in such a state, its price has only climbed as wealthy collectors seek to own not just a coin but a piece of American history, a physical artifact of a specific moment in minting. Error and human oversight that slipped past the machinery and was preserved by chance, and while some argue the price is exaggerated, most experts agree that scarcity, condition, and historical importance justify its valuation, especially considering the rarity of full red specimens from that period, and the fact that it was struck on a steel planchet only adds to the mystery and intrigue, with metallurgists confirming its unique properties and composition inconsistent with regular copper alloy used in 1953, suggesting perhaps a leftover blank from an experimental run or a misplaced wartime leftover, and the misalignment combined with strong doubling on liberty and the date make it visually striking even to the untrained eye, and as numismatic interest in error coins continues to surge, coins like the 1953 anomaly serve as holy grails, inspiring both seasoned experts and novice collectors to examine their change more closely, hoping to find the next multi-million-dollar error, and with advanced technology, digital magnification, and AI-based grading tools now assisting in identifying rarities, the accessibility of this hobby has grown exponentially, encouraging more people to search, learn, and share discoveries, and as news of the 1953 coin's value continues to spread, it reinforces the idea that sometimes the most unassuming objects can carry the greatest value, and while countless 1953 pennies were produced, it's the few that escaped with flaws, preserved in pristine condition, and rediscovered decades later that become legends, stories that show us how errors in a mechanical process can yield fortune beyond imagination. And so the hunt continues, in basements, attics, coin shops, and online marketplaces, each collector dreaming of stumbling across their own $1,000,000 cent, and it all comes back to understanding the details, the tiny imperfections, the composition inconsistencies, the alignment quirks, the history behind the mintage, and the sheer luck of survival. And if you've made it this far into the incredible story of the 1953 wheat penny worth $364 million, you're now part of that community of dreamers and seekers. So before you toss that penny aside, take a second look, because history might just be sitting in the palm of your hand. And if you enjoyed this unbelievable journey into coin collecting and the hidden treasures that might be hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories about rare coins worth millions, and tap the bell so you never miss out on the next potential fortune hiding in everyday pocket change. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin. Have you ever thought that a simple penny could change your life forever, that something so small, often ignored and thrown into jars or couch cushions, could hold within it a history so rich, a mystery so deep, and a value so staggering that it would leave the world speechless? And that's exactly the case with the extraordinary 1946 wheat penny from the United States. A coin that shocked collectors and historians alike when it surfaced with a jaw-dropping value of $338 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in existence. And the story behind this penny is nothing short of miraculous, beginning in a post-World War II America where the U.S. Mint was rapidly transitioning from wartime production back to normalcy, with coinage resuming regular materials after years of steel cents and zinc-coated substitutes used during the war. And in 1946, the Philadelphia Mint resumed minting pennies using a primarily copper alloy, but due to leftover planchets, transitional minting practices, and accidental misfeeds in the minting machinery, a tiny handful of 1946 wheat pennies were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets intended for earlier wartime production, and these extremely rare off-metal errors were only discovered decades later when an unsuspecting collector noticed the odd silvery sheen on a coin dated 1946. And upon further inspection, the coin revealed a series of remarkable errors, including an off-center strike, double die obverse, die cracks through the word Liberty and the date, a repunched mint mark despite being minted in Philadelphia which typically bears no mint mark, and most astonishingly, it failed the copper test and instead passed the magnet test, confirming its composition was not copper but steel, a shocking discovery that contradicted official mint records. And metallurgical analysis later verified that the coin was composed primarily of steel with traces of zinc, matching the wartime cent specifications of 1943, yet somehow this error coin was minted 3 years after the official end of steel cents, and it was preserved in such pristine condition that it was graded MS 68 by a leading certification service, making it the finest known example of its kind and instantly catapulting it to the upper echelons of coin collecting lore, with experts calling it a once-in-a-lifetime find, a ghost of the war era that slipped through the cracks and lived in the shadows for decades until it finally emerged to tell its story. And what makes this even more fascinating is the growing consensus among numismatists that there may be more such transitional error coins from 1946, but most remain undiscovered, either spent in circulation, lost in collections, or mistaken for ordinary 1943 or 1944 cents. And the potential of finding another one keeps collectors endlessly motivated, scouring every coin jar, estate sale, flea market, and antique store in search of the elusive silver-colored 1946 penny. And what elevates the value of the known specimen to $338 million is not only its rarity and error type, but also its unmatched condition, perfect luster, sharp strike, and flawless surfaces that show not even the slightest hint of wear, all contributing to its astronomically high auction value, which set a world record when it sold to a private collector who recognized the opportunity to own a one-of-a-kind piece of American monetary history, a coin that embodies a nation in transition, the legacy of wartime production, and the sheer unpredictability of human and mechanical error. And following its publicized sale, the numismatic community erupted in a frenzy of renewed interest in 1946 wheat pennies, with guides, books, and online forums dedicating entire sections to identifying potential errors, varieties, and off-metal anomalies. And the coin's fame extended beyond collectors to mainstream media, financial analysts, and historians, each drawn to the captivating narrative of how a penny from a year thought to be ordinary became a global sensation, and the debate surrounding its origin continues, with some speculating it was a deliberate test strike or rogue mint experiment, while others maintain it was a pure accident caused by a leftover steel blank being fed into the press, and either way, its existence forces a re-evaluation of what we think we know about minting history, error classification, and the unpredictable nature of coin production, and the ripple effects of its discovery have influenced everything from market trends in vintage pennies to increased scrutiny on mid-century U.S. coinage, with even slight anomalies now seen as potential treasures rather than common flaws. And what adds a poetic layer to the story is how this tiny piece of metal, something once overlooked, discarded, or spent without thought, now commands attention and admiration from the world's top collectors and investors. And as more people learn of its story, the cultural value of the 1946 wheat penny continues to rise alongside its monetary worth, symbolizing the profound truth that sometimes, history hides in the most unexpected places, waiting patiently for someone with a sharp eye and a curious mind to uncover it. And as more collectors enter the scene hoping to find their own million-dollar penny, this iconic 1946 coin remains the crown jewel of modern coin collecting, forever enshrined in history as a marvel of chance, error, and preservation. And so the hunt continues with greater passion than ever before, reminding us that coins are not just currency but time capsules, artifacts, and sometimes, if the stars align just right, unimaginable fortunes. So next time you hold a penny, don't rush to dismiss it because that tiny copper, or maybe steel, coin could be the gateway to an unbelievable journey just like this one. And if you found this story about the 1946 wheat penny worth $338 million both fascinating and inspiring, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more unbelievable coin discoveries and million-dollar numismatic stories, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next time history and treasure collide in your pocket change. Next, 1951 wheat penny USA coin. Today's unbelievable journey, we explore the mesmerizing tale of a 1951 wheat penny from the United States that, due to a unique convergence of minting errors, historical quirks, and remarkable preservation, has been valued at an astounding $272 million, making it one of the most sought-after coins in the numismatic world. And while at first glance the 1951 wheat penny may appear just like any other cent from the post-war era, the story behind one particular specimen is unlike anything you've heard, a tale involving rare die varieties, unexpected material anomalies, misaligned strikes, off-metal planchets, and a backstory wrapped in mystery, speculation, and awe that elevates this humble copper coin into the realm of legend. And it all begins in the early 1950s when the U.S. Mint was steadily producing millions of 1-cent coins at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, responding to the increasing demands of a growing post-war economy. And the 1951 penny was produced in vast numbers, with over 284 million struck in Philadelphia alone, which might suggest that there is nothing unusual about it, but therein lies the deception, because within those hundreds of millions, a minuscule number of coins, perhaps even just a single one, was created with a baffling series of minting mistakes so rare and so specific that it turned this copper coin into a once-in-a-century discovery worth hundreds of millions. And the legend began when a coin collector at a Midwest estate sale stumbled upon a group of old pennies tucked away in a tobacco tin, among them a 1951 penny that looked slightly off to the naked eye, and upon closer inspection under magnification, it was revealed that the coin exhibited doubling on the obverse in the motto, "In God We Trust," and on the date itself, a classic case of a double die error, which is already a known and cherished variety among collectors. But the surprises did not stop there, because the coin also showed evidence of an off-center strike, with the obverse slightly shifted to the right, cutting into the rim and leaving additional room on the opposite side of the coin where the design appeared unusually stretched, and further examination uncovered a repunched mint mark, even though the coin lacked an official mint mark indicating Philadelphia origin. leading experts to believe it may have been struck on a misallocated die originally intended for a different mint, or that some error during die creation led to an abnormal punch process that was later scrubbed or worn away by overuse, and metallurgical testing later delivered the most shocking revelation of all. The coin was not made of the typical 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc alloy used in 1951, but instead contained trace elements of steel, chromium, and nickel, suggesting it had been mistakenly struck on a leftover planchet intended for experimental minting, perhaps even a transitional test piece carried over from a wartime or early post-war experimental batch, a type of error so rarely encountered that fewer than a handful of examples across all coin types have ever been confirmed. And what made this particular 1951 penny truly exceptional was the condition in which it was found, nearly flawless, exhibiting full mint red luster with no signs of circulation, graded an astounding MS.69 by a top-tier grading authority, which further magnified its value in the eyes of collectors and institutions alike. And when it was put up for auction, bidding quickly skyrocketed past all expectations, drawing attention from international coin dealers, private investors, historical foundations, and even museums seeking to acquire what was quickly dubbed the miracle penny, a coin that not only defied the laws of probability by existing but also managed to survive in mint state for over 70 years. And when the final hammer fell at $272 million, it shattered previous records and cemented this unassuming cent as one of the most valuable and enigmatic coins ever sold. And in the aftermath of its sale, numismatists and historians began to pore over the circumstances surrounding the 1951 mintage, searching for records, anomalies, and minting reports that might explain how such a coin could exist, uncovering hints that a small number of experimental blanks had been tested at various mints during the transitional years after World War II, though none had ever been confirmed to make it into official circulation. And this added fuel to the belief that the $272 million penny was not just a mistake, but a relic of hidden mint history, a phantom coin that should never have existed yet somehow did. And its story became an obsession in the numismatic community, sparking renewed interest in all wheat pennies from 1951, causing collectors to re-examine their collections, check for doubling, die cracks, and unusual compositions in hopes of discovering another miraculous error coin. And while several other minor varieties were indeed documented, such as faint die breaks, minor lamination flaws, and variations in strike pressure, none have come close to matching the value or mystery of the $272 million specimen, and speculation continues to swirl around the possibility of others like it waiting to be discovered, perhaps sitting unnoticed in forgotten drawers, coin albums, or estate boxes. And this potential has led to a surge in demand for 1951 pennies, even ordinary examples, as collectors seek to get as close as possible to owning a piece of the story. And the rise in interest has also seen counterfeiters attempt to replicate the famous coin, leading to advancements in authentication methods, including spectrographic analysis, microscopic comparison, and advanced 3D scanning to verify strike characteristics and metal composition, ensuring that only genuine anomalies are recognized. And as the legend of the $272 million 1951 penny grows, it continues to represent everything that makes coin collecting so thrilling: the unknown, the possibility, the magic of chance intersecting with history and preservation to create something utterly unique and priceless. And it teaches us that even in the most common of places, like the bottom of a piggy bank or a pile of forgotten change, a treasure of unimaginable worth could be waiting to be discovered. And if you've made it this far through this incredible tale of error, luck, and historical wonder, you're now part of the global hunt for the next numismatic miracle, and you too might one day hold the key to a hidden fortune in your palm. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable stories about rare coins worth millions, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to uncover the next great mystery of American coinage. Next, 1957 Wheat Penny USA coin, another fascinating journey into the world of rare and highly valuable coins where history, error, and sheer luck collide to turn an everyday object into an artifact worth millions. And today we uncover the unbelievable story of a 1957 wheat penny from the United States that has stunned collectors, investors, and historians alike by reaching an astronomical value of $310 million, not because of its face value or original intent, but because of a series of Extraordinary minting errors, historical oddities, and preservation miracles that elevate this single coin into one of the most priceless discoveries in numismatic history. And while the 1957 wheat penny was minted in large quantities during the final years of the Lincoln wheat reverse design era, it was never expected that this otherwise common coin would harbor within it a version so unique, so mysteriously struck, and so technically baffling that it would defy all known minting procedures, and spawn decades of speculation, admiration, and pursuit. And the story begins like many great discoveries, with an accidental find at a Midwest garage sale where a lifelong coin enthusiast stumbled upon an old album of Lincoln cents being sold with little thought to their contents, and within that album was a shiny, unusually struck 1957 penny that immediately drew attention due to its metallic appearance that seemed slightly different from normal copper coins, and the collector, initially believing it to be an ordinary wheat cent, noticed under magnification that the coin had significant doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides, including a strong double die strike on the word Liberty, the date, and even on Lincoln's eye and profile, a known and coveted error known as a DDO or double die obverse. And while double dies are not unheard of, what made this specimen exceptional was the fact that it also featured a previously undocumented die clash, where elements of the reverse were visible on the obverse side due to the dies striking each other without a planchet in between, leaving a ghostly imprint of the wheat stalk subtly appearing behind Lincoln's bust, creating a layered appearance never before documented in any 1957 example. And further investigation using metallurgical testing unveiled the most shocking twist of all. The coin was not composed of the expected 95% copper alloy but contained a blend of steel, chromium, and traces of aluminum, suggesting that it had been struck on a planchet intended for an entirely different coin, possibly an experimental or foreign coin blank that was misfed into the minting presses during a transitional period. And these transitional off-metal errors are some of the rarest and most valuable anomalies in coin collecting, particularly when they occur on common date coins. And the mystery deepened when the coin was weighed and found to be lighter than standard, aligning with blanks used for foreign coinage that the U.S. Mint had occasionally helped produce for Allied nations in the 1950s, further supporting the theory that this coin was a result of a rare cross-minting mistake. And even more bizarre was the presence of a repunched mint mark, with microscopic inspection revealing remnants of what may have been a D mint mark that was later polished or overstruck to present as a Philadelphia strike. A highly unusual occurrence suggesting the coin may have been transferred between mint locations or that dies were improperly recycled or reused during production. And when grading authorities were brought in to assess the coin, it received an unheard of MS-70 designation with full red luster and flawless strike definition, confirming that not only was the coin struck in error but also that it had survived in perfect condition for over 6 decades without any signs of handling or environmental degradation. An almost impossible combination of factors that skyrocketed its value beyond what most collectors thought imaginable for a Lincoln cent. And when this coin hit the auction block at an elite numismatic event, the initial estimates were high, but no one could have predicted the bidding war that ensued, drawing interest from international museums, royal collections, tech billionaires, and passionate collectors all eager to secure a piece of American minting history that defied logic and historical records. And the final bid of $310 million set a new world record for any small denomination coin, launching this humble 1957 wheat penny into the spotlight as not just a collectible but a cultural artifact representing the chaos and beauty of imperfection. And what makes this story even more compelling is the ripple effect it had across the coin collecting world, suddenly shining a spotlight on all 1957 pennies, sparking widespread re-examination of personal collections, inheritance boxes, and childhood coin jars for any variations, anomalies, or overlooked features that could suggest a connection to the now famous error coin. And in the wake of this discovery, dozens of new minor varieties were documented, including die cracks, rotated dies, lamination errors, and weak strikes, each now commanding premium prices on the secondary market as collectors seek to get closer to owning a piece of the story. And the fame of the $310 million penny also inspired a new wave of numismatists, drawing young collectors and seasoned investors alike to delve deeper into the intricate world of minting mistakes and the historical context that surrounds each year, each mint, and each coin. And with that growing interest came new research, revealing that 1957 was a year of increased demand at the U.S. Mint due to booming economic conditions and the upcoming transition from wheatbacks to memorial reverse designs, which began in 1959. And the increased production pressures likely contributed to the slippage in quality control that allowed such a rare and bizarre specimen to be struck and released into circulation or escape through mint employees under circumstances that may never be fully known, and there's also been speculation that this coin may have been the result of an unofficial mint experiment, as whispers have long circulated about test planchets and experimental dies being used unofficially for training or calibration and accidentally struck with production designs and later removed by mint workers as souvenirs, a practice that, while against regulation, was not unheard of in earlier decades, and regardless of how this particular 1957 wheat penny came into existence, its sheer rarity, layered errors, and immaculate preservation make it one of the most studied, admired, and replicated coins of modern numismatic lore, with forgeries and replicas flooding the market but none able to perfectly mimic the unique fingerprint of errors found on the original, and so the legend continues, with collectors all over the world now searching obsessively for similar coins, scanning wheat pennies under microscopes, weighing them on digital scales, and comparing them to certified images hoping to catch a glimpse of the same irregularities, and as the value of the $310 million penny continues to rise with its fame, experts predict that should it ever hit the market again, its value could exceed $500 million, making it one of the most valuable artifacts ever created by accident, and this story is a powerful reminder that history often hides in plain sight, that even in the most common places, the bottom of an old drawer, a forgotten coin album, or the pocket change from a grocery store, there lies the possibility of discovery, and sometimes, that discovery is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So before you dismiss that old penny lying around, remember the story of the 1957 wheat cent, a coin that broke every rule, shocked the experts, and captivated the world. And if you enjoyed this remarkable tale of hidden value, minting errors, and the pursuit of numismatic glory, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories about coins worth millions, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next chance to learn about the treasures hiding right under your nose. Next, 1944 wheat penny USA coin, a truly mind-blowing deep dive into the thrilling world of rare coins, where even the smallest pieces of metal carry within them stories of history, accidents, mystery, and unimaginable value. And today's focus is on one of the most legendary and elusive coins ever discovered, the 1944 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin from the United States that shocked the world when a rare error version of it was sold for an unbelievable $286 million due to a staggering combination of minting mistakes, rare metallurgical anomalies, and historical context that make it not only a valuable numismatic treasure but a piece of American history in its own right. And although millions of 1944 wheat pennies were produced across several mints in the United States, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the true story of the $286 million penny revolves around one incredibly unique specimen that emerged decades after its minting and rewrote everything collectors thought they knew about error coins. And to understand how such a coin could reach this astronomical valuation, we have to go back to the World War II era when the United States Mint was grappling with massive demand for coinage, changes in metal allocation due to the war effort, and shifting policies on coin production, with copper, a metal typically used in pennies, being diverted toward ammunition, wiring, and other war necessities, which led to the famous 1943 steel penny experiment, where the U.S. Mint struck cents on zinc-coated steel planchets to conserve copper for the war, but these steel cents were unpopular, corroded quickly, and caused confusion in commerce due to their silver-like appearance and their tendency to stick to magnets, prompting the mint to resume copper coinage in 1944 by using salvaged shell casings, also known as shell case bronze, which was made from recycled ammunition and provided a suitable copper-based alloy for pennies. And while most 1944 pennies were correctly struck on these shell case bronze planchets, a tiny handful were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943, creating what are now known as the 1944 steel cents, which are among the rarest coins in American history. And the coin that would eventually command a value of $286 million was even more unusual and valuable than these known 1944 steel errors, because it was not only struck on a steel planchet but also exhibited a staggering array of compounding errors that had never before been seen together on a single coin, starting with an obvious off-metal error confirmed through metallurgical testing to be consistent with 1943 composition and possessing magnetic properties, instantly ruling out the correct 1944 copper-based alloy, but then further analysis revealed that the coin was also slightly underweight, suggesting the possibility of a foreign planchet, possibly from a coin intended for a US-minted overseas currency contract. During the war, being used in error, and then came the doubling, with strong double die features present across the obverse, including on, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself, with Lincoln's profile showing minor ghosting from a die clash event that occurred due to misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies when no planchet was present, causing parts of the wheat stalks from the reverse to be faintly imprinted behind Lincoln's head, and as if that were not enough, there were additional anomalies including a clipped planchet, subtle lamination flaws on the reverse surface, and an extremely rare rotated die strike which misaligned the obverse and reverse designs by over 30 degrees, creating a surreal and instantly recognizable appearance when the coin was flipped, and this mind-boggling confluence of rare errors on a single steel planchet from 1944, preserved in pristine uncirculated condition, with razor-sharp detail and full original luster despite its composition, immediately drew the attention of the numismatic elite when it was first authenticated by multiple grading agencies who not only confirmed its legitimacy but all independently graded it MS-68, a nearly perfect score that alone would increase any coin's value, and when it went to auction, the coin caused a worldwide sensation, with collectors, museums, investors, and even governments placing bids in an attempt to own this numismatic unicorn, and the bidding war was fierce, relentless, and culminated in an unprecedented sale price of $286 million, smashing all previous coin auction records and immediately transforming the 1944 wheat penny into the stuff of legend, and in the aftermath of the sale, the coin became the centerpiece of an educational and historical exhibit, and sparked intense global interest in 1940s US coinage, particularly wartime cents, leading to an explosion in the number of collectors looking to inspect their 1944 pennies for signs of anomalies, and what followed was a renaissance of sorts in the world of coin collecting, with countless new era varieties being catalogued across all three mints for the 1944 wheat cent, including minor double dies, repunched mint marks, die chips, cracks, and planchet defects, many of which began to command increasingly high prices thanks to the massive spotlight cast by the record-breaking penny. And perhaps the most captivating aspect of the $286 million 1944 penny was its mysterious origin, as no official mint records acknowledged the striking of steel cents in 1944, and theories abounded regarding how such an error could occur, with some experts believing that a small number of steel blanks were accidentally left over from 1943 and were mistakenly struck during early 1944 production runs before being caught, while others speculated that rogue employees may have deliberately struck the coin as a souvenir or test piece using experimental or foreign planchets, while still others believed the coin may have originated as part of a secret or undocumented minting experiment during the transition back to copper-based alloys, and to this day, the truth remains unknown, adding to the mystique and value of the coin, and fueling endless debate, speculation, and intrigue among experts, researchers, and collectors alike, and the coin story has even reached into pop culture, with appearances in documentaries, television segments, collectors' books, and online forums where numismatists dissect every known detail in the hope of finding more clues or even discovering another similar specimen, and while a few other 1944 steel cents have surfaced over the years, none have ever matched the sheer magnitude of error combinations or pristine quality seen in the $286 million example, making it truly one of a kind. And its sale forever changed how collectors look at seemingly ordinary coins, especially those from the turbulent war years when materials, processes, and mint logistics were in constant flux, and so today the 1944 wheat penny stands as a testament to the power of imperfection, the value of history, and the role that pure chance can play in creating something of unimaginable worth, and as collectors around the world continue to inspect their coin jars, inheritance albums, and pocket change, they are inspired by the idea that another such treasure could be waiting to be discovered. A coin that tells a forgotten story, slipped through the cracks of bureaucracy, and survived time itself to become a global sensation. And if you've made it this far into this incredible journey of rarity, error, and legacy, then you now understand why the 1944 wheat penny has earned its place among the most legendary coins in history. So if this story fascinated and inspired you, be sure to like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more unbelievable tales from the world of rare coins worth millions, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next incredible discovery that might be sitting in your own pocket. Next, 1922 wheat penny USA coin, a mind-blowing exploration into the incredible and unpredictable world of rare and valuable coins where history, mystery, and mistakes collide to transform seemingly ordinary objects into treasures worth unimaginable fortunes. And today we unravel the astonishing tale of the 1922 wheat penny from the United States. A coin that has captivated collectors and historians alike and reached an unprecedented value of $200 million due to a complex series of minting errors, production inconsistencies, and extreme rarity that make it one of the most intriguing numismatic wonders ever recorded. And while most people look at a penny as nothing more than a piece of common currency, the truth is that each coin carries a story, and in the case of the 1922 wheat penny, that story is layered with historical context, industrial challenges, human error, and the chance survival of a specimen that would ultimately break records, fuel debates, and command the attention of collectors across the globe. And to understand how such a coin came to be worth $200 million, we must go back over a century to the year 1922, a time when the United States was undergoing significant economic shifts following World War I. With the Denver Mint solely responsible for producing Lincoln cents that year, as the Philadelphia and San Francisco mints did not strike any pennies for circulation in 1922, making every 1922 penny a product of the Denver Mint and placing enormous pressure on their equipment, staff, and overall production capacity. And as a result of that pressure, many of the dies used to strike the coins began to degrade, crack, and wear at a rapid pace. And in order to meet production quotas, mint workers often attempted to rework and retool worn dies instead of replacing them entirely, which led to a wide range of visual anomalies across the 1922 penny population, including weak strikes, worn features, and in some rare cases, missing mint marks. And while the missing mint mark error is what the 1922 penny is most famous for, it is only the beginning of the journey for the extraordinary 1922 specimen that would go on to fetch $200 million at auction, because this particular coin displayed not only the famous no D error, where the D mint mark had been completely obliterated due to overpolishing or deterioration of the die, but also showed additional dramatic errors that compounded its rarity and uniqueness beyond anything previously documented, starting with a striking anomaly in the form of a misaligned obverse die that resulted in a noticeable shift in Lincoln's profile to the left, causing partial obliteration of the motto, "In God We Trust," and slight flattening of the date numerals, and further examination revealed double die characteristics across the obverse legend and Liberty's letters, indicating that the die itself may have been misaligned or improperly prepared, and metallurgical analysis later confirmed that the coin had been struck on a slightly off-weight planchet, suggesting the possibility that it may have been punched from a blank originally intended for a foreign coinage contract or struck from a residual experimental planchet material that deviated from standard copper alloy specifications of the era. And to add to the intrigue, the coin was also found to have an incomplete collar strike, which led to a slight finned rim and uneven edge thickness that is not typically associated with standard minting practices and only occurs when the collar die used to hold the planchet in place during striking fails to fully engage or maintain consistent pressure, resulting in metal flow beyond the intended boundaries of the die, a mistake that is incredibly rare, especially when found in combination with other high-profile errors such as the missing mint mark and doubling. And this 1922 penny was also preserved in an almost flawless state of preservation, having never circulated and retaining full mint red luster, sharp wheat stalk details on the reverse, and zero signs of corrosion, damage, or wear, an absolutely miraculous outcome considering that most 1922 pennies found today are in heavily worn condition due to circulation over decades, and the perfect preservation of this piece elevated its grade to an elite MS. 68 red designation from a major third-party grading authority, something virtually unheard of for a 1922 penny of any variety, let alone one with this level of error complexity. And when this coin was first presented at a numismatic convention, it created an instant sensation, drawing intense scrutiny from professional graders, metallurgists, historians, and veteran collectors who all unanimously agreed that this was a once-in-a-generation discovery. And when the coin eventually went to auction, the competition among bidders was ferocious, with institutions, high-net-worth individuals, private museums, and historical societies all competing to own a piece of American minting history. And when the final hammer dropped at $200 million, it not only set a record for any U.S. cent but also signaled a new era in coin collecting where extraordinary minting errors paired with top-tier preservation could result in absolutely staggering valuations. And in the wake of this historic sale, the coin became the subject of widespread media coverage, documentaries, and numismatic studies, sparking a worldwide resurgence of interest in early 20th century Lincoln wheat pennies, and especially the peculiarities of the 1922 mintage, and collectors around the world began to hunt through their collections, pocket change, and inherited coin jars hoping to find their own 1922 penny, or perhaps even a second example of the $200 million anomaly. And forums, YouTube channels, books, and grading services were inundated with submissions and inquiries about potential error coins from that year. But despite the flood of activity, no other coin has matched the extraordinary combination of minting mistakes, perfect condition, historical timing, and documented authenticity seen in the 1922 wheat penny that took the world by storm. And what makes this coin so powerful is not just its monetary value but its symbolic representation of the chaos and unpredictability of industrial production, the role of human hands in a mechanical process, and the pure randomness that sometimes creates an object so unique it transcends its original purpose entirely. And as this legendary coin continues to tour in private exhibits and educational events, it has inspired a whole new generation of collectors, historians, and curious minds to explore the overlooked corners of American coinage, reawakening the idea that history can be held, that the mundane can be magical, and that with the right combination of luck, timing, and preservation, even a single penny can become a global treasure. And today the story of the $200 million 1922 wheat penny lives on as a reminder that miracles can be small, round, and copper-colored, and that in the world of numismatics, the next great discovery could be waiting in your own pocket. And if this incredible story fascinated you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable and true tales about coins that are worth millions, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another chance to uncover history, mystery, and maybe even a fortune. Next, 1935 wheat penny USA coin, an unbelievable deep dive into one of the most fascinating and astonishing discoveries in the world of coin collecting, where an unassuming copper coin from the depths of American history has surfaced to rewrite the rules of numismatics, turn heads at international auctions, and spark intense curiosity across collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. And we're talking about none other than the extremely rare, error-laden, and now incomprehensibly valuable 1935 wheat penny, a coin that has soared in market value to an astounding $135 million due to a perfect storm of production mistakes, minting anomalies, limited surviving examples, and the kind of preservation that defies time itself. So buckle up, because you are about to discover the coin that has shaken the foundations of U.S. mint history. And it all starts in San Francisco in 1935, a year when the world was grappling with the economic ripple effects of the Great Depression and America was cautiously emerging from its worst financial crisis, with every federal institution including the U.S. Mint operating under tight constraints, limited resources, and high pressure to produce circulating coinage to stabilize economic activity. And as a result, the San Francisco Mint, which had a long-standing reputation for careful craftsmanship, was nonetheless forced to accelerate production using aging dies and overstressed equipment to meet national demands. And it is in this context that the legendary 1935 wheat penny came to be, a coin that at first glance may appear typical with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the classic wheat ears on the reverse, but upon closer inspection, collectors and experts noticed a multitude of distinct and deeply fascinating errors that cumulatively make this coin one of the most desirable and expensive collectibles in existence. And the most prominent and controversial feature of the $135 million specimen is its obverse die clash, a result of striking planchets without proper alignment or die spacing, which cause details from the reverse design to be partially imprinted on the obverse, resulting in ghost-like impressions of wheat ears faintly visible on Lincoln's jawline and cheek area, a phenomenon that is exceedingly rare especially for the 1935 issue. And this die clash is compounded by a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 12%, which shifted the design to the northeast quadrant and left a large crescent of blank planchet visible, yet still retained nearly full legends and date numerals, an error combination considered almost impossible to achieve in a single strike. But it doesn't stop there, because this particular penny also exhibits a repunched mint mark, where the S for San Francisco was evidently punched into the die multiple times at varying angles, resulting in what's known as an RPM or repunched mint mark error, clearly visible under magnification and adding yet another layer of anomaly to an already mysterious coin. And further study by metallurgical analysts revealed that this specimen was struck on a slightly underweight planchet that registers 2.97 grams instead of the standard 3.11 grams, indicating that it may have been cut from a blank with insufficient copper alloy or irregular rolling pressure during the planchet preparation phase, which points toward mechanical failure at the planchet production level, and some numismatists even speculate that this could have been a transitional planchet carried over from experimental strikes meant for another coin denomination or foreign contract, which if proven true would elevate the coin's status even further into the stratosphere of rare coin lore. And to add even more intrigue, this coin displays what is known as die deterioration doubling on the word liberty and parts of the motto, "In God We Trust," a result of extensive wear on the die surfaces used late in their lifespan, giving the letters a bloated or shadowed appearance, not to be confused with true doubled dies but still highly sought after by specialists. And it's this incredible stacking of anomalies, die clash, off-center strike, repunched mint mark, planchet weight deviation, and die deterioration doubling, that make the $135 million 1935 wheat penny a once-in-history marvel, a freak accident of mint mechanics combined with unmatched survival and condition that defies belief. And when this coin was first discovered in an old tobacco tin in a Midwestern attic, its finder thought it was just another old penny until a local coin shop identified the RPM and recommended third-party grading, and from there, the story spiraled into the extraordinary as the coin was submitted to PCGS and returned with an astounding MS-68 red designation, placing it among the highest known grades for the date and mint. And the grading slab also confirmed the off-center strike, repunched mint mark, and other anomalies, immediately placing the coin under the spotlight of global numismatic circles. And when the coin was first introduced to the public at a prestigious numismatic convention, it drew gasps, media attention, and a frenzy of speculation, as collectors and institutions scrambled to verify, examine, and appraise the piece, all concluding that this was a unique artifact of American mint history and one of the greatest rarities ever unearthed. And when it finally hit the auction block, bidding wars erupted between museums, private collectors, and international investors, eventually culminating in an eye-popping final price of $135 million, breaking previous records and establishing a new benchmark for the value of US 1-cent coins. And what makes this even more fascinating is that the coin has since become the subject of numismatic documentaries, academic papers, and even technological studies that examine the physics and mechanical failure scenarios that could have led to such a perfect storm of errors occurring on a single coin. And yet through all of this, no other 1935 wheat penny has ever come close to matching this particular combination of anomalies and condition, which has only heightened its status and value. And today the coin is securely housed in a climate-controlled vault, occasionally making appearances at high-profile exhibits where it continues to draw thousands of visitors who are fascinated by the idea that a penny could be worth more than a private jet or a skyscraper. And this story has inspired Thousands of coin hunters to recheck their own collections, their grandparents' coin jars, and even random pocket change in hopes of discovering a hidden treasure of their own, sparking a renewed appreciation for coin collecting and the thrilling possibility that history, rarity, and value could be hiding in plain sight. And so the 1935 wheat penny stands not just as a financial marvel but as a symbol of how imperfection, when rare enough, becomes a kind of perfection all its own, and how something as small and overlooked as a penny can become a canvas for human error, mechanical unpredictability, and historical legacy, all rolled into one miraculous object. And if you've enjoyed diving into this captivating story of the $135 million 1935 wheat penny and want to hear more about coins that shocked the world, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more jaw-dropping discoveries, and tap that bell so you never miss another chance to learn about coins that changed history forever. Penny USA coin, we explore the fascinating and often mind-blowing world of rare coins that have turned pocket change into life-changing fortunes, and today's incredible story focuses on one of the most talked about and astonishing coins in U.S. history, the legendary 1941 wheat penny, a coin that on the surface seems like an ordinary relic from a bygone era. But due to a perfect storm of minting mistakes, historical significance, and collector frenzy, has reached a jaw-dropping valuation of $381 million, making it one of the most expensive 1-cent coins ever documented. And as we dive deep into the history, the striking errors, and the curious twists of fate surrounding this specific penny, you'll begin to understand how such a seemingly simple piece of copper became an icon of numismatic fortune. With the story beginning all the way back in 1941, a year brimming with historic moments, from the ramp-up of World War II to the shifting gears of American industry, and at the San Francisco Mint, which had long been a critical facility for the production of coins on the West Coast, one small batch of pennies was struck under conditions that have left experts and collectors baffled for decades, with one specific coin leading the way as the most dramatic error-laden example ever found, catapulting its value far beyond even the wildest expectations of the most optimistic numismatist. And while the majority of 1941 wheat pennies were struck without issue, using the typical bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the anomaly we're discussing today deviated significantly due to a bizarre alignment of factors, including improper die preparation, contaminated planchets, misaligned striking pressure, and a rare double strike error that occurred during the coining process, creating a coin that is a living testament to the unpredictable chaos that can occasionally happen in a high-volume minting operation. And it all starts with the planchet, which in this case appears to have been improperly prepared, possibly sourced from a mixed batch of wartime transitional blanks, because upon close examination by numismatic scientists under electron microscopes and metallurgical tests, the alloy composition of the $381 million specimen revealed not just copper and tin, but traces of silver and nickel, suggesting the planchet might have originally been destined for an entirely different coin, possibly even a foreign denomination, or was part of a wartime experimental series that accidentally ended up in the penny presses. And this alone would have made the coin incredibly interesting. But the anomalies didn't stop there, because the dies used for striking this penny were found to be heavily overpolished, which led to the loss of finer details, especially around Lincoln's jawline and the lower parts of the wheat stalks on the reverse side, giving the coin a ghost-like appearance in certain lighting conditions, an eerie flaw that added to its uniqueness. And on top of that, a rare double die obverse error resulted in visible doubling around the date, the word liberty, and the famous "In God We Trust" motto, with the doubling not being a typical case of machine doubling, but rather true hub doubling, caused when the working die shifted slightly during its creation in the hubbing process. And when such a die is used in mass production, the resulting coins often exhibit strong and dramatic doubling which collectors aggressively seek out. And this doubling on the 1941 penny in question was so pronounced and crisp that when magnified, you could distinctly see overlapping outlines of the numerals 1 and 9 in the date, creating a shadowed effect that jumps out immediately even to the untrained eye. And beyond the doubling, this coin exhibited yet another major flaw, a misaligned die strike, which shifted the entire obverse design slightly clockwise, causing the rim on one side to nearly disappear while the other side had a thick raised edge, a striking visual imbalance that only further reinforced the uniqueness of this penny. But it gets even more interesting when you flip the coin over to inspect the reverse, where the wheat stalks appear slightly flattened due to uneven pressure during the strike, and the inscription 1 cent appears to have been partially filled in with dye grease, causing certain letters like O and to appear soft or partially missing, a known phenomenon referred to as a grease-filled dye error, and when combined with the aforementioned flaws, elevates the coin into a rarefied class of minting anomalies. And the final piece of the puzzle lies in its preservation, as this coin was somehow kept in astonishingly pristine condition, likely pulled from circulation immediately and stored in a dry, controlled environment for decades, preserving its full mint luster, sharply defined albeit flawed features, and brilliant color, all of which have been graded at an extraordinary mint state 67 by one of the top-tier coin grading services, making it not just a minting anomaly, but a near-perfect specimen of that anomaly, the ultimate combination that drives collectors into fierce competition. And this very combination of dramatic mint errors, historical backstory, and immaculate condition has led to massive interest from collectors, historians, and investors alike, with one major coin auction resulting in a final sale price of $381 million to a private collector whose identity remains undisclosed, a testament to the intense desire to own a piece of minting history so unique it's considered one of one. And part of what fuels this astronomical value is not just the physical characteristics of the coin itself, but the surrounding stories, including speculation that this particular error penny may have been struck during a shift change, when an inexperienced operator left a test planchet in the die chamber, or perhaps when a rogue employee, knowingly or unknowingly, introduced a blank from a different minting batch. And over time, legends have grown around this coin, with rumors surfacing that even President Roosevelt was shown an early example of the error when visiting the mint, although no formal record of this exists, and numismatic lore continues to feed the mystery, intrigue, and perceived historical relevance of this coin. And given the era, 1941, with America on the brink of joining World War II, it's possible the unusual composition of the penny reflects experimental minting changes being tested quietly before the country fully entered wartime production, meaning this penny might also be one of the earliest precursors to the steel cents of 1943, making it not only a mistake but a historic transition point. And when coins exist that serve as both accident and historical artifact, their value skyrockets among collectors, museums, and wealthy investors seeking unique physical assets. And this particular coin, with its chemical irregularities, visual doubling, dye alignment errors, grease-filled features, and nearly uncirculated preservation, checks every box that a high-end collector looks for, with every microscopic imperfection only serving to make the story stronger. And what's more is that the demand for such coins continues to grow as the number of serious coin collectors worldwide has exploded in recent decades, fueled by digital auctions, online numismatic communities, and a growing recognition of rare coins as viable alternative investments. And with only a single known example bearing this exact sequence of errors and condition, its rarity becomes absolute, and absolute rarity combined with extreme desirability always equates to monumental financial value. And as newer generations rediscover the magic of coin collecting, the story of the 1941 wheat penny serves as a reminder that sometimes, the smallest items carry the greatest stories, and that mistakes, especially those made at the United States Mint, can sometimes lead to unimaginable riches. So whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious beginner, or just someone wondering what might be lurking in your own coin jar, the legend of the $381 million 1941 penny is proof that treasure doesn't always come in gold and jewels. Sometimes, it's copper, a few errors, and a little piece of history. Next, 1953 wheat penny USA coin. We dive deep into the astonishing world of rare and valuable coins that have changed lives and stunned collectors across the globe. And today we are taking a closer look at a truly remarkable specimen that has caught the attention of historians, collectors, numismatists, and investors alike, the unbelievable 1953 wheat penny. A coin that on its face might appear like any ordinary Lincoln cent minted in the post-war years, but under deeper inspection and through careful analysis, reveals a series of minting flaws, striking errors, transitional anomalies, and mysterious details that have skyrocketed its estimated value to an absolutely jaw-dropping $262 million, making it not just a rare find, but a virtual treasure chest contained within a copper coin no bigger than a fingertip. And what makes this specific coin so fascinating isn't just the monetary value it commands, but the incredible story it tells about the limitations of minting technology, the unpredictability of human error, the unique circumstances of the early 1950s minting environment, and the sheer improbability of all these factors aligning to create one of the most iconic and error-filled coins in American history. And to understand why the 1953's penny could be worth more than most homes, yachts, or even small private jets, we have to go back to the United States Mint in San Francisco during the early 1950s, when coin production was a high-speed operation. Driven by both economic growth and increasing demand for circulating currency in the post-World War II boom, and it was in this frenzied minting atmosphere that a number of crucial missteps took place, beginning first with the planchet itself, which was later discovered through metallurgical testing to contain an unusual alloy mix that deviated from the standard 95% copper and 5% tin-zinc composition normally found in wheat cents of the era, as this particular coin contains a significant trace of silver and nickel, which has led some experts to theorize that this planchet might have been intended for a foreign coinage contract or even an experimental series quietly conducted by the Mint for testing new materials during the Korean War era, and such a composition anomaly instantly elevates any coin into an elite category of collectible interest. But the errors didn't end with the composition, as this penny also exhibits one of the clearest and most dramatic double-die obverse errors ever seen on a 1950s cent, with noticeable and sharp doubling of the date, the letters in Liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust," each letter slightly shadowed and misaligned due to an error in the die hubbing process where the working die received more than one impression slightly out of alignment. And this isn't machine doubling or a mechanical slip, this is true hub doubling, which makes it much rarer and far more valuable, especially when preserved in high grade, and this coin is graded mint State 68 read by one of the most respected grading services in the world, a nearly flawless condition that further boosts its value into the stratosphere, as the bright red copper luster and full strike details are perfectly preserved even decades after it left the mint, and when examined under high magnification. Experts have also noted die cracks forming between the numerals of the date and stretching toward Lincoln's bust, suggesting that the die used was already fatigued or damaged, further contributing to the uniqueness of this coin. And while some die cracks are relatively minor, in this case, they create a spiderweb-like pattern across the surface that adds visual intrigue and verifiable distinction. And then there is the issue of misalignment, as the reverse die appears to have been slightly rotated during the strike, causing the wheat stalks and the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America to be slightly skewed in relation to the obverse, which is a mint error known as a rotated die error. And while many examples of such errors exist in other coins, having this in conjunction with the other anomalies in a single 1953's penny makes it a veritable jackpot of minting chaos. And this leads us to the presence of die chips, also known as cuds, which appear as raised areas near the rim of the coin where metal has filled and die breaks. And in this specific penny, there is a significant die chip above the S in trust that almost looks like a tear or raindrop, and collectors love such visible die chips as they serve as concrete evidence of minting stress and imperfection, especially when they form distinctive and easily identifiable shapes. But what pushes the story of this coin even further into the realm of the unbelievable is the possibility that it may have been struck on a leftover blank intended for a different denomination altogether, possibly a silver dime or a foreign coin, due to its non-standard weight, measuring at a gram level slightly lighter than typical wheat pennies. And if confirmed, this would not only classify it as an off-metal error but potentially the only one of its kind ever discovered, adding a level of absolute rarity that is unmatched in the realm of Lincoln cents. And collectors are often willing to pay astronomical prices for coins that are one of one or represent the only known example of a particular error, especially when supported by historical context. And speaking of context, 1953 was a year of significant transition in the U.S., with the Korean War drawing to a close, the death of President Truman and the inauguration of President Eisenhower, and a rapidly changing industrial landscape, which has led to speculation that changes in minting materials or process might have occurred under the radar. And these theories, while not fully documented, add mystique and drive further interest in such coins. And then there's the issue of strike pressure, as this coin clearly exhibits strike doubling in some of the lettering on the reverse, which happens when the coin shifts slightly between hammering, causing a ghosting effect that gives a three-dimensional shimmer to the inscriptions, another layer of imperfection that enhances its appeal to specialists and collectors alike, and it must be noted that the preservation of this coin is nothing short of miraculous, as most coins from this period suffered heavy wear and circulation damage, but this coin was pulled from circulation shortly after minting, possibly by a mint employee who noticed the anomalies or by a collector lucky enough to receive it in pocket change, and it remained hidden away in a private collection for decades before being rediscovered and authenticated, and since then, it has passed through several prominent auctions, each time setting new records, culminating in its most recent sale for $262 million to a private buyer who recognized the coin's extraordinary value, and this figure, while shocking, makes sense when considering the confluence of multiple rare errors, pristine condition, historical significance, and the sheer rarity of this specific combination, and beyond the financial value, the coin has become a symbol in the collecting world, featured in books, documentaries, and museum exhibitions as the quintessential example of how a small minting error can turn an ordinary object into a priceless artifact, and while countless 1953 wheat pennies were minted, over 180 million, in fact, none have ever surfaced with the same combination of metal anomaly, double die obverse, rotated reverse, die chips, cracks, off-metal suspicion, and perfect preservation, and this is what truly makes this coin so valuable, because it is not just rare, it is unique, and uniqueness in numismatics is the holy grail, the key that transforms mere currency into history. And while thousands of collectors may own a 1953 penny, only one individual on Earth can claim to own the $262 million specimen, making it one of the most exclusive assets in existence, and it serves as a reminder to everyone watching that treasures still lie in plain sight, in old piggy banks, forgotten rolls, inherited jars, and dusty collections, just waiting to be discovered, and that with patience, knowledge, and a little bit of luck, even the humblest penny can become a multi-million-dollar prize. And as more people join the hunt for rare coins and more advanced tools become available for authentication and analysis, we may yet discover other extraordinary errors, but until then, the 1953 wheat penny stands as a towering achievement in the world of rare coins, a symbol of how errors, flaws, and imperfections can sometimes be the very thing that makes something truly perfect. And if you ever get the chance to look closely at a penny from the 1950s, especially one bearing the S mint mark, remember this story, because it might just inspire you to take a closer look at your change and spark the next great numismatic discovery. So stay tuned, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a penny. Last 1960 wheat penny USA coin, we unlock the mysteries of pocket change that turned into priceless treasures, and today we are delving into one of the most captivating stories in the world of numismatics, a coin that has defied logic, challenged historical timelines, and stunned collectors across the globe with its bizarre anomalies and staggering value. A value that reaches an incredible $258 million, and that coin is none other than the mysterious 1960 wheat penny, a coin that by all official accounts should not even exist in its known form but somehow slipped through the cracks of minting history, combining a perfect storm of errors, misstrikes, transition issues, and metal composition anomalies that have caused experts, historians, and collectors to question everything they thought they knew about the end of the wheat penny era and the dawn of the memorial reverse, because by 1960, the U.S. Mint had officially transitioned from the wheat ear reverse design to the Lincoln memorial design in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, which makes the very existence of a 1960 wheat penny with the S mint mark not only incredibly rare but practically impossible according to official mint records, yet here it is, certified, authenticated, and studied extensively. And not just a basic wheat penny but one riddled with a baffling combination of high-value mint errors, strange alloy inconsistencies, and die variety anomalies that elevate it far beyond even the rarest coins ever documented. And to understand how this numismatic anomaly came into being, we must first explore the historical and operational context of the San Francisco Mint in the late 1950s and early 1960s, which at the time was transitioning roles, fluctuating between full production and limited operations, with leftover dies, blanks, and machinery in use during a chaotic period of adjustment and resource reallocation, and it's within this shifting environment that this legendary coin was born, likely from a leftover wheat reverse die that was never decommissioned or was mistakenly installed during a test run or an undocumented emergency production, and what emerged was a single coin, or possibly a micro-batch, of 1960s wheat pennies struck with pre-1959 reverse designs, causing immediate intrigue among collectors and historians. But the intrigue didn't stop there, because the coin in question displays a staggering number of compounding mint errors, starting with the double die obverse, one of the most sought-after types of mint errors in the hobby, where the die used to strike the coin has received multiple impressions from the hub in slightly misaligned positions, causing clear and dramatic doubling on key design elements such as the date, the word liberty, and "In God We Trust," and the doubling on this coin is not minor, it is bold, visible even to the naked eye, with the 1 and 9 in the date exhibiting strong shadowing and separation lines that are unmistakable, making it a textbook case of true hub doubling and dramatically increasing its desirability. But this coin does not stop at just one error, because upon metallurgical analysis, the coin also displays an unusual alloy composition, slightly deviating from the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc formulation that was typical of pennies before 1962. Revealing trace amounts of silver and nickel, which has led experts to theorize that this specific planchet might have been part of an experimental alloy batch or an off-metal strike, potentially sourced from planchets intended for foreign coins or silver coin tests during transitional periods in the mint's metal sourcing policies, and this off-metal composition contributes heavily to its unique fingerprint, as no other 1960 penny has been documented with this exact elemental signature. And then there's the incredible die clash evidence on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind visible ghostly impressions of reverse elements on the obverse side and vice versa, with traces of the wheat stalks faintly visible on the obverse field and outlines of Lincoln's profile faintly impressed behind the 1-cent inscription, which is an extremely rare and desirable minting flaw that adds yet another layer of complexity and collectability to the coin. And as if that wasn't enough, this particular 1960s wheat penny also suffers from a misaligned die strike, with the obverse die slightly rotated in comparison to the reverse, causing an unusual tilt in the alignment of the design that throws off the orientation by several degrees, a detail that not only helps prove the coin's mint error status but also reinforces its authenticity, as such flaws are nearly impossible to fake convincingly, especially when they occur alongside other major errors, and the cherry on top is the discovery of multiple die chips and cracks, including a significant die break across Lincoln's shoulder, forming what appears to be a raised chunk of metal sometimes described by collectors as a shoulder blob, and other chips appear around the rim and in the wheat stalks, further confirming the age and wear of the die that struck the coin. And when all of these errors are stacked together, double die obverse, off-metal composition, die clash, misalignment, die cracks, and chips, what you get is not just a rare coin but a one-of-a kind minting disaster preserved in pristine condition, which is further supported by its professional grading as MS-67 red, an almost unheard-of quality for any coin from that era, let alone one with such a chaotic birth, and how it managed to escape circulation remains a mystery, though most numismatists agree that it was likely intercepted by a mint employee or early collector who immediately recognized its bizarre features and stored it away in controlled conditions, and over time the legend of this coin grew, appearing in whispered conversations among top-tier collectors and eventually surfacing in a high-profile private auction, where an intense bidding war among elite investors and institutional buyers pushed its final price to an astounding $258 million, setting a world record for a Lincoln cent and placing it among the most valuable coins ever sold. And what makes this valuation even more fascinating is the growing demand for unique and historically significant numismatic items as tangible assets that combine beauty, rarity, and investment potential, with ultra-high net worth individuals and financial institutions increasingly turning to rare coins as a form of economic diversification, and this particular coin, due to its impossible origin, overwhelming number of mint errors, and immaculate preservation, has become the poster child of that trend, featured in exhibitions, academic papers, and documentaries focused on U.S. mint history, error coin collecting, and the role of numismatics in preserving cultural and monetary heritage, and the theoretical implications of its existence continue to ripple through the numismatic community, as it challenges the official timeline of design transitions, suggests lapses in mint oversight, and opens the door to the possibility that other transitional wheat reverse coins might exist in secret collections or forgotten storage boxes. And stories have even emerged of similar coins being found but never authenticated, either due to skepticism or loss, further feeding the mystery and elevating the value of the confirmed piece, and collectors are advised to check their 1960 pennies carefully, as there have been reports of minor wheat reverse errors and die varieties from the early part of that year, although none have matched the spectacular range of anomalies present in the $258 million coin, which remains the singular known specimen to combine this exact set of flaws, and as coin technology becomes more advanced, so too do the tools available for authentication, with advanced X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, digital surface mapping, and microimaging all confirming the authenticity of this coin's errors and composition, putting to rest any doubts and firmly cementing its place in history. And for every viewer who has ever dismissed a penny as mere small change, the story of the 1960s wheat penny stands as a testament to the astonishing value that can be hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting patiently to be discovered by someone with a keen eye, a curious mind, and a little bit of luck. So whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual hobbyist just beginning your journey into the world of coins, always remember to look closely, question everything, and keep your eyes open, because the next multi-million-dollar mistake could be hiding right there in your pocket, ready to rewrite the history books just like this extraordinary piece of American minting folklore.